The Advent calendar is a beautiful tradition, a tangible countdown to the joy of Christmas. Each little door opened is a step closer to the magic, a small treat to sweeten the anticipation. But what if each door you opened revealed not a pleasure, but a promise of pain? What if it was a countdown not to a celebration, but to a catastrophe? My former colleague Claire was a single mother to her 8-year-old son Leo. She was a wonderful, devoted parent who would do anything to make the holidays special for him. One year, a few weeks before December, she found a treasure at a local antique fair. It was a large, exquisitely handcrafted wooden advent calendar. The dealer said it was a 19th century piece from the Black Forest region of Germany. It depicted a charming, snow-covered Victorian town square with 24 intricately carved little windows and doors on the buildings. Claire bought it for a steal, excited to share this piece of old-world charm with her son. On the morning of the 1st of December, Leo eagerly opened the first little window marked 1. Behind it, there was no chocolate. Instead, there was a tiny, beautifully detailed, hand-painted image. It showed a black crow wings askew, lying dead at the base of a window pane. Claire felt a small shiver of disappointment and unease. It was a rather morbid image for a children's calendar. Later that afternoon, while Claire was in the kitchen, she heard a loud, sickening thud from the living room. She rushed in to find a large crow lying on her patio, its neck broken, having flown at full speed directly into the glass of her sliding door. A splash of blood marred the pristine window. Claire stared, her heart hammering against her ribs, the image from the calendar flashing in her mind. She told herself it was a horrifying, freak coincidence. On the 2nd of December, a nervous Leo opened the second window. The painting behind this one showed a little girl in a red dress, sitting on a cobbled street, crying, with a bloody gash on her knee. A knot of dread tightened in Claire's stomach. She made Leo promise he would play inside all day. But boys will be boys. While chasing the cat through the living room, Leo tripped on the rug and went sprawling, his knee crashing hard against the sharp corner of their oak coffee table. The cut was deep. As Claire cleaned and bandaged his bleeding knee, she couldn't help but notice that he was wearing his favorite red pajamas. He sat on the floor, weeping in pain and shock, a perfect living replica of the painting. By the 3rd of December, Claire was terrified. She wanted to throw the calendar away, but Leo, with the strange logic of a child, insisted they had to keep going. He was scared, but he felt they were somehow bound to it. That morning, with trembling fingers, he opened the third door. The image was of a single old-fashioned Christmas light bulb, its filament snapped, lying dark amidst a string of lit ones. That evening, as they were admiring their Christmas tree, one of the bulbs on a string of vintage lights she had bought at the same fair suddenly popped, showering the floor in tiny shards of glass and plunging half the tree into darkness. The coincidences were piling up, each one more specific, each one chipping away at her sanity. The days that followed were a waking nightmare. The 4th of December showed a leaking pipe. Their washing machine hose burst that night, flooding the kitchen. The 5th of December showed a car with a flat tire. She found her own tire completely flat when she tried to go to work. The 10th of December showed a hand with a burned finger. She scalded her thumb on a hot pan while cooking dinner. Each morning brought a new, tiny painted harbinger of doom, and each day the prophecy would fulfill itself in some mundane yet terrifying way. Claire felt like a prisoner in her own life, a puppet whose strings were being pulled by this malevolent wooden box. She tried to fight it. One day, the calendar showed a dropped carton of eggs. She decided not to buy eggs. But on her way home, a grocery delivery boy on a bicycle swerved to avoid a car, and his basket overturned, splattering a dozen eggs across the pavement right in front of her. There was no escaping it. The calendar wasn't just predicting the future, it felt like it was pseudo-writing it. By the 20th of December, both Claire and Leo were nervous wrecks, starting at every sound, dreading the morning ritual. The images had been growing subtly more alarming. On the 21st, the painting was of a house identical to theirs, with smoke pouring from the chimney. Not gentle smoke, but thick, black, angry smoke. She forbade the use of the fireplace. That night, a faulty wire in their attic sparked, and only the shrill cry of the smoke alarm saved them from a potentially deadly fire. On the 22nd, the image was of an ambulance, its red lights flashing. Claire kept Leo home from school and refused to drive anywhere. But that afternoon, their elderly next-door neighbor had a heart attack, and an ambulance came screaming down their quiet suburban street, its flashing red lights painting their living room walls in strokes of terror. On the 23rd of December, Leo opened the window to reveal a painting of a man's silhouette, standing outside a window at night looking in. Claire spent the entire night awake, sitting in the dark with a kitchen knife in her lap, watching the windows, but nothing happened. For the first time, a prophecy had failed. A tiny sliver of hope returned to her. Maybe it was over. Maybe the curse, or whatever it was broken. On the morning of Christmas Eve, only one window remained, the largest one, number 24, the door of the church in the center of the painted town square. With a sense of finality, Leo reached out and opened it. The image inside was not a painting. It was a tiny, perfectly clear mirror. For a heart-stopping second, Claire and Leo just saw their own terrified faces reflected back at them. Then in the reflection, they saw the room behind them. And standing in the doorway of the living room, perfectly silent, was the silhouette of a man. He was holding a tarnished, old-fashioned lantern. Before Claire could even scream, he spoke, his voice a dry rustle like dead leaves skittering across pavement. "You missed one," he said, a grotesque smile stretching his face. The man at the window. He was already inside. The last thing they heard was the click of the living room door locking and the soft, off-key tinkling of a music box starting to play from the hallway.